All right, folks, we're back. And as you can see, this is the underside of our beef short ribs. So, if you can, start off with some quality beef ribs or beef short ribs. These are short ribs. Here, I'm fortunate that we in Savannah, we've got the Ogeechee Meat Market. So I just went up there, told them I needed some beef short ribs to smoke up in my smoker, and they had what I needed. So I already pulled the membrane off. I already trimmed a little bit of the fat from the top side. I don't like chopping off too much, right? So what I got for seasoning, let's pull that in here. I've labeled this special seasoning, not Brad and not James, because they don't know nothing about this right here. You know, they put sauce and mop and everything else. You know, we don't do that here. We want to keep this simple and sweet. So let's just go over here a little bit more. All right, there we go. So all we're gonna do, pop the cap, right? And we just gonna coat the underside of these bad boys here. Right, we're not putting no mustard or none of that binder. I know people use binders, but I don't use a binder. Right? We just pat it on there like so. You can see just how fat these are, right? So then we just generous. Just sprinkle it all over. It's gonna get in there, right? Sprinkle it all over. Down the side there. There we go. Let's turn it over. Sprinkle them all along the top. Just be generous with it. Just coat them up. You can see these are nice and thick. Definitely not going to get this kind of cut from unless you usually get it from your local butcher shop, if you're fortunate to have one close. Right? Just pat it on there. Flip this end up. Coat it on there. Turn this guy aside. I just cut my hand just to get it to sit on there like so. Right. Yeah, buddy. Make sure we get that side there. Now, that's all nice and coated. Now, all we're going to do with these, just like this, is put saran wrap or aluminum foil over this pan, put them in the refrigerator, and let these just sit. And tomorrow, we'll pull them out, pull the foil off of them, let them start coming up to temperature, to normal room temperature. We'll preheat the smoker with our flavor of wood that we want to use. And we just going to throw them on like this and let them cook low and slow. And then as the process goes on, we'll open up the lid to the smoker after a little bit just to check on them and see how they're doing. All right. So this was step one. That's all done, cleaned up, seasoned. So stay tuned for the rest. What's going on, folks? So we back with the brisket. I just took it out the fridge. So now I'm just letting it come up to room temperature before I go ahead and warm up the smoker and throw it in the smoker. But I wanted to show you, this is why I don't use any kind of binder like mustard or anything. Because once you put your dry rub on there and you put it in the fridge, right? That rub is going to pull moisture out of the meat. And when it does that, the dry rub itself will get damp and it will adhere to the meat, as you see here. And it's a personal preference. You got people that love to use a binder, mustard, olive oil, or any whatever they feel like their flavor is. But for me, I just get the meat, take it out, coat it with a dry rub. You can use saran wrap, you can use foil, whatever you choose to do, and put it in the fridge and let that dry rub sit on there overnight. Now, I can understand if you seasoning meat really quick and then throwing it on the smoker or grill, then yeah, because the dry rub hasn't had a chance to adhere to the meat, so you use a binder. But in my case, I always season my meat and put it in the fridge and let it sit overnight, before I do anything with it. So, next step we're going to go into, once it comes up to temperature, we'll set the Traeger on smoke. We'll throw this in there while it's on smoke, and I'll explain to you why when we get to that step. All right, see you soon. What's going on, folks? So we back. Right now, we got the Traeger on smoke so that we're filling the chamber with smoke. And this is right when I like to put my meat on. I like letting the chamber fill with some low smoke to help put that smoky flavor into the meat initially. Then once I do that, then I'll crank it up to 225 and just let it sit and cook. Let's check it out here. See, it's filling up with smoke. And that's just my personal preference. I like to do it that way so that I know that the smokiness is going to get into the meat, but I like to get it in there, a good amount in there initially. You can see there that we're smoking pretty good out of the stack. So we're going to let that smoke for about 5 or 10 minutes. Then we'll crank it up to 225 and let it cook. Then we'll be back, see how it's going midway or so. All right? Thanks for watching so far. Stay tuned. What's up, folks? All right, we're about 4 hours into the smoke. Let's see what temperature we at here. 223, 226 right now. All right, let's take a look here. Oh, yeah. It's starting to break down. The fat's starting to break down. Juice. Let's see here. Yeah. The bones are sticking out the end. They're shrinking. We looking good. Looking good. All right. The Great Traeger Smoker. We'll check in on another hour here. See what we're looking at for an internal temperature before we go on to the next step. Thanks for staying, folks. What's up, folks? All right, ribs are almost done. Here's what I do the next step. Peach butcher paper. I take the ribs, wrap them in peach butcher paper, put them back in the smoker for the last hour, hour and a half, and then they should be set to go. All right? So, let's get moving. Thanks for sticking with us so far. See you soon. What's going on, folks? Blake from New Vision Security, and we back. So we just took the ribs out of the smoker, and you can see I still got them in the peach butcher paper, but you can see what the paper does as they're still cooking inside. All of that juice cooks, it's still cooking while it's on the smoker, and it will You know, it helps to get the meat right, tenderize it, do all that good stuff. So oh boy, look at what we got here, folks. So that's just coming off there. But oh, that's hot. But look how nice. Look how that bark is on there. Cooked all the way through. Let's take a knife here. Let's take this one. Oh, that's hot. You can see the knife just went through it. Look at that, folks. See the nice smoke ring there? Let's slice another one here. These are pretty big. But this is why I like using the butcher paper. Watch when I squeeze it. You'll see the juice. There you go. That's all the natural juices that have been cooking in it. And you see the nice smoke ring up top and on the bottom, folks. So let's go ahead. Oh, it's hot. There you go, folks. That's how I like cooking our ribs, because that's how we like eating them. They're still moist. You can see the juice. They're not dry. And it's got a nice smoke ring and a nice bark on top. There you have it, folks. That's how we do ribs. Thank you for sticking with us along this here rib cooking session. And hope you enjoyed it. Hope you learned something from it on how we here at New Vision Security Services smoke beef ribs. As always, have a blessed day, take care, and thank you for watching.